Hello, wonderful people. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Age of Awæcnian, Soulful Stories Unveiled. I'm your host, Marie Ferguson, and this is the beautiful Felicia Lee, and we're so excited to be here. And look, both of us just being really raw and vulnerable. We're feeling the illnesses, we're feeling the tiredness. It has been a lot of energy and a lot of preparation, particularly for the summit that's coming up next week. And, I'm just really honoring you here, Flea, in this space for all of the amazing work you're doing behind the scenes, even like getting these technology, this Vimeo up and having our guests ready to join us. How are you feeling?
It's kind of funny. I had a major coughing fit last night, which was my universal message to just stop and to, stop fretting, to stop worrying about things that are outside my control. So that sore throat has come on today, and that is beautifully timed to allow a little bit of rest before the summit. But I'm feeling good other than that. I think this is such an exciting event, and we get to be part of something that is far greater than just the small little things that we've created. And I truly honor every single speaker that has decided to be part of this event, because without them, like, that is our branding. Our branding is creative connections and coming together in this beautiful way where we get to celebrate others. And the fact that this is unfolding in such a I'd say easy way. It is flowing in an easy way, even if there is some challenges behind the scenes. But it's lovely to be part of something so great and that fills you up so much. So I'm feeling full as well as a little bit sick.
Yeah, oh, that's so beautiful. And our next guest that's joining us today, beautiful Kelly Keith, also has these same alignments and visions and this sense of doing this amazing work and connecting with tribe. And it has been so wonderful to have her join us as also a speaker for the summit next week. And Kelly, I met through another summit that we were in, through Women Thrive, which, I think I saw her at a speaker spotlight one time, like, oh, who's this woman talking about the new earth and the energy and just coming back to the body, and like, oh, I'm just going to like say hi and connect with her. And and then I just reached out and was like, hey, we've got this summit. She's like, yes, let's do this. And so Kelly has a beautiful company that she's a founder of called The Heart Space. And she's here to help people remember and activate to your highest potential. Heal yourself and embrace through your health and your happiness to, live the highest timeline. And we're here to be anchoring in and living our highest timeline in what we call, if you're kind of new to this, like the new earth frequencies and these upgrades. And you're going to hear more and more people talking this language and bringing that curiosity. And so, Kelly, I'd love for you to say hello and introduce yourself to the amazing audience.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And y'all, I feel you. Yesterday was my first day back to vitality after a similar thing taking me down. I feel this eclipse season, it's just clearing so many old patterns and things that are needed. So feel you, and thank you for creating this container. And hey world, I'm Kelly Keith. I do many things, so thank you for the beautiful intro. I'm tuning in here today from New York, but I serve globally. And I've been on this mission consciously for the last 12 years, and I'm here to support us all to remember how to live with an activated heart and to bring the frequencies of heaven on earth in various different ways, to kind of nutshell it to start us off.
I love that. I just got goosebumps as you said that. I'm like, yes, yum. And yeah, those upgrades and up leveling and choosing that path has been something that I know that, again, I've been conscious about it, but then you get stuck sometimes in the daily grind of things and maybe we forget. And I know I've forgotten along that path and been trapped in the old cycles and patterns unconsciously until,
Mm.
I've had moments in my life that have had to shake me and wake me up or throw me back into my body or back into my emotions. And that can be very identity shifting, life changing, and it can be subtle or it can be massive. It can look like many different ways for people. So I love that you've been on this journey for a while.
Yeah, and I love like, we're in such exciting times where just to see collectively as it's growing and to be able to continue to rest deeper and deeper into the knowing of, like, everyone's coming and everyone has their time. No one needs to force anyone to wake up. No one needs to try to make anything happen. If there's anything I've learned along my journey is trying to shake people awake or get them to understand or to see things, it actually pushes them a little bit further away from it because it's like, I'm not ready. So it's so cool to see these divine appointments that people are having with, whether it's, somebody crossing their path and supports them in the perfect timing, or their own divine appointment with the unseen realm that shakes them awake in a spontaneous time. It's so beautiful to see the Aquarius age coming, where, in 2016, when I started the heart space, people are saying, like, all the time, like, what do you do? You're doing what with your hands? And now to be in a space where I can speak to a group of 50 to 100 people and say, so just to understand the group, who here's ever is familiar with what Reiki is? And almost every hand goes in the air. Where it just, like, I want us to celebrate for a moment of, like, how much growth that is in a relatively short period of time, to have gone from people thinking it's the most taboo thing that I'm a Reiki practitioner to start, to now teacher, to now people are like, oh yeah, cool, Reiki. It's really exciting to see what's to come.
Mm.
Mm. And that card was the accelerated motion card. So all around that spiritual prosperity and that growth movement. So, I just love it. You just see that star shooting by and we're all coming together with the beautiful wisdom. I love it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That acceleration can happen quite quickly when you are in that deep awareness. But sometimes that awareness in yourself, in your emotions, how you're showing up in relationships, not only with yourself, but with your family members, it can take a little bit of noticing. And so, Kelly, going back 12 years, when you started noticing, when you started like questioning and seeking, well, is there more? What's going on? I'd love to know, like, what kind of opened you up more into this world of, like, this, I need to be doing this, I need to learn this, or I need to go here. Like, what was, I suppose, one of your, I don't know if there's one or many, I know there's many, there was a few for me, but what was, like, your awakening experience that started you off on this journey that you are living now?
Yeah. So if we were to look at, like, and that's why I said consciously 12 years ago, about 16 years ago when I was in college, looking back now, I can connect the dots where I'm like, oh, that's what was happening. But the end of my freshman year of college, I was close to 250 pounds, still depressed, still, seeking outside of myself, just so not loving myself. And
Mm.
now understanding, I just call it a light switch moment oftentimes when I'm talking to people, because it was, but knowing now, I see it as like my team was just like, okay, time to prepare her prime her to be able to remember to begin what she's here to do this lifetime, which is a big mission. So it was a light switch moment at the end of freshman year where my entire mindset changed. Where I was just like, okay, moving forward, I eat fruits, vegetables, grilled chicken, Special K, and I can have one cheat meal every week. And I chose a buffalo chicken salad because I worked at Hula Hands, a restaurant, during that summer, and worked out every day. And you cannot break my mindset. I was so disciplined in becoming and going through the transformation. As so many of us know, one of the golden keys of transformation is focus all of your energy on who you're becoming. Don't focus on and I was so locked in to that. And so that brought me into meditation and yoga. And right at the end of college, I was invited to be a partner in a startup company. So I started entrepreneurship right out of school, which is, as we all know, another spiritual journey in of itself. So it was a lot of these pieces of learning personal development and going into entrepreneurship and sales and the discipline of the body and the mindset work that was all setting me for that moment of being deep in that meditation of hearing. They made it very easy where they're like, we're going to make it so she can't think that she can't get confused. This is clear. They're like, she likes to talk herself out of stuff. Let's make it clear. So it was just clear as day in the middle of my meditation. Look up healing modalities. You are a healer. And I was scared, but I was just like, I knew it was uncomfortable, but I could feel deeply I could trust it. And it was something I didn't understand, but there's still, I don't feel unsafe. I'm slightly uncomfortable and a little bit nervous, but I know I'm safe at a deep level.
Mm.
So I listened and I Googled it. And when I clicked on Reiki, I had a wave of energy move through my body. And I was just like, what the bleep? And so I just tried to pretend it didn't happen. And then 2 days later, I was working out of a Barnes and Noble. And what went from me playing on Facebook led to me randomly, air quote, friend requesting this man that I was like, I know we're meant to be friends. And I messaged him and I said, I know this is random and bold, but I'm a random and bold person. I said, I know we're supposed to be friends. He said, oh my God, I love new friends. So we just started bantering and doing the things. 20 minutes into the conversation, he asks what I'm up to. I said, oh, I'm working for my satellite office, AKA Barnes and Noble, and a bookstore in the US where if they're not around, they're not a global store, I'm realizing. And he said, oh, I'm walking in the doors of the Princeton Market Fair, Barnes and Noble right now. So our very first conversation, same place, same time.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
And we sit, wild, a movie. Like it's like that remembering of like, oh, that's right. My whole life is a movie. And I'm the lead actor, lead actress, and the director, and the writer, and the producer. Oh. So we're talking, and I said, listen, I haven't told anyone this, but I feel I can tell you. And so I tell him I had this experience. He goes, oh, I guess she's ready. I said, what? He said, you know the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I'm a Reiki master. I guess I'll be your first teacher on the journey. And my life has never been the same ever since.
I've got so many goosebumps, Kelly. Like I know I've heard that story, but you've gone a bit deeper. Oh, and there's these synchronicities that it is destiny and it is planned, even though like I still believe that we still have free will, but I am such a believer in that even through that, there are still paths that are predestined to anchor in key points of change that we have already agreed to. Whether we like it or not, it's happening. But yeah, I love that story. And even just leaning in and that piece about trusting the voice or trusting that feeling that's beyond safety. And there is a depth to it. And I don't know like how to explain that to people that don't understand, even people that we love dearly. And they're like, well, how do you know? I'm like, I just know. I just know this is going to be all okay and this is going to work out and that this is like what we're meant to be doing. And I've seen it and I've felt it. And it's like, yeah, that anchoring into that wisdom and divinity, whatever source, whatever people want to call it. And those voices that it's not your voice, or it might be your higher self, or it might be God, or it might be the angel, whatever it is. There's a felt experience. So like you felt when you Googled the thing, what was that card play?
That's the solar plexus. And for those that aren't in touch with their energetic body as yet, or they're just in the early stages of their awareness, that is where you will feel it. that knowing is in your solar plexus. It's that creative spark that's, I just need to be part of. I have to do this. It's a desire that is unexplainable at the same time. It's like, but you just know within your body, it just feels right. And as you were both talking, it's like, yes, 100%, it's right there. You can feel it. It drives you to want to do something that you're not usually, or that you're unaware of. It's like you said, like, Reiki, what is this? I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden, things present. And it was because you actually took that moment to go, oh, it could be a possibility. And that's that creative aspect that could be, that then goes, actually, this feels even better. And it's those little synchronicities that pop in that just go, oh, now it's popped up again. I had one yesterday with a dragon will come across your path. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not going to be hard. I've got tarot cards everywhere. And I didn't really think about it, but it was the next message that came through. It was actually a typo. And it was like, oh, and the dragon card. Oh, sorry, no, not dragon card, something else. And I just went, oh, okay, pay attention, stop. This is part of that curiosity, and that knowing is like, actually, that came up for a reason. I remembered that little tiny detail about the dragon for a reason. And the fact that it pops up within a second is that creative spark that goes, oh, it could be more. Let's go back and take another look at what that meant. And it just grows from there.
Yeah. And these symbols and these meanings, the synchronicities, people, music, numbers, the signs are everywhere. And I'm sure, Kelly, from that moment, there were more signs and symbols and synchronicities and kismet moments where you're like, okay, this is like, it feels like a dream. And it actually is us creating that reality. And I love that piece as well, that, that we are the main actor, actress, the director, the dancers, like, when we claim that this is our stage, our life, that this is our stage, that we get to make the best story ever, even with the hard things, that still makes a good story, and there's gotta always be some tension and resistance to drive the character to shift and change. And so have there been any of those moments of like deep tension, on your journey of, becoming who you are now, that you were like, I actually don't know I don't even know if this is, what I'm meant to be doing, or have I done the wrong thing? Like when we start to question, did you have any of those moments of tension along the way?
Oh my gosh, when do I not have those moments of tension along the way? It's that like reminder for all of us, like we're all human. That's a part of the experience, and for me, I'm so driven by, I'm here for my mission. And I've something that I've had to melt into, and I'm still a work in progress in it, because yes, I'm so grateful for how much inner work I have done and how much God has used me to create amazing things in the world, and how I don't take credit for anything that I do. It's God using me. The more I just keep, use me, where do you need me to go? What do you need me to do? It's not me. Like the level of how many people we've been able to support and coming deeper into their connection and their rememberings, all amazing. And I know I still have so much more to go in who I'm becoming. So every time I'm shifting into a new identity for the next version of who I am to be, because what I'm going to have, and I'm not talking just in, accolades and achievements and monetary goals, which human experience, I'm here for that too. I'm talking more of the communities and the platforms and the impact what I'm going to have. It requires me to be a different version of myself, and I'll be doing different things, and so it's the Ouroboros. It's a never-ending cycle of going into the caterpillar soup. And for so long, I was getting caught up in, and now it's beautiful. I get to help a lot of my clients through this. So if someone's listening, may you receive this if you're needing this for your heart today, where I would get so caught up on, did I make the wrong decision? Did I go to the right place? Am I in the right location? Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? And then it continuing actually came up twice, and I led a ceremony on Sunday, and it came up for two people there the next day came up in a conversation as well. So I was like, okay, medicine for me too. A nice reminder, like, because we can remember things. We're human. We need to be reminded everything a lot. Where it was just the path is you. You are the path. And so that has like been a big trip up for me along my journey that would cause so much tension and trying to figure it all out and plan everything and this and that, where I started to realize I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. And if I don't know something in this moment, it's because I'm not supposed to know it. But there's never been a time that God has left me hanging of me truly needing to know something in a moment. I will always know what I need or have what I need at the exact moment that it's needed. So that this helps to diffuse the tension, but I can forget that too because my human really loves to human, and I have to be like, chill. We know this. We know this one. We've done this one.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
We've done this one.
That's it. There's this beautiful saying that I've shared in a few places, and it's this power of and. We are both divine and human, and we can be both, and we get to be all of it if we choose it. And yeah, it's honoring all those parts and just coming. I know for me, in my humanness, I'm like, I just got to forgive myself. We're also too hard on ourselves, and just coming back to that heart space. Forgiveness is such a beautiful tool, and I find still people that I love dearly around me find it really hard to forgive, themselves and others around them, even though they say they do. What was that card, Flea?
The deception and envy card. And I was wondering how this was going to play out in this beautiful spread. I was like, this is all lovely, positive, like that movement. And I was kind of thinking, it's like, I wonder if half of those resistance training is that imposter syndrome that we were talking about earlier, and that needing to be like other healers or needing to look a certain way. I know that when I first started in this journey, it was like, oh, everybody in this field, they all talk like this, and they're all, breathwork coaches, and they're all, they've got all these things, and I'm like, oh, that's not me. Oh, I better do it. And I quickly enrolled in a course, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then I went, actually, no, I don't have to be that. And that imposter syndrome is something that that deception and envy comes from, well, how are we going to be accepted by others? And I've noticed that keeps coming up quite a fair bit, that people are like, okay, it's the trying to fit into the groups. This is what spiritual looks like, or this is what religion looks like, or this is what, a healer looks like, or a coach or a teacher or whatever. And it was a word teacher that really brought me to that understanding, because it's like, well, everybody hates teachers, but that's what I'm meant to be. It's like in my design chart, everything brings me back to this role of the teacher. And I'm like, but I don't want to be hated. Like, this is not right. It can't be that way. And it was like, hang on a sec, what is a teacher? And if we take away, our understanding of school teachers, which, we are, we're not those school teachers, but there's those teachers out there that give teaching a bad rap. And I guess with that understanding, it was like, okay, well, what could a teacher be? And it's the what could that transforms that deception and envy into it's just me. And I don't have to look like that person. And I don't have to do it that way. And I can see that in that cycle of coming back, and how do we actually shift that mindset and recognize where it is just trying to play.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of compassion in that, of that recognition and noticing, and again, loving those parts, which again comes back to the heart. So I love, Kelly, that you spoke about that, all of these pieces that Flea, yourself, I have been sharing, like in our stories, a lot of it does come back to your own body, like the fire in your belly, being grounded in your root, being open to what's coming through. But like all of this beautiful energy that we get to tap into when we become aware, a lot of it I found, all of them have their own roles to play and bring us back into one. But I feel like the heart, when we exude and we live from that place, this then up levels not only the body and the physical, and there's like other things in the DNA levels and all that we can talk about, but it's like up leveling and living from that place, which then takes you into that 4D, 5D experience. And we're living in this very 3D, like we can touch things at the moment, and we're shifting out of that. And I know you're very probably aware and versed in this field, but it's through the heart that we get to be embodied, because we're in this process of, well, who it is that I want to become, getting to that place. And it's this process of noticing who we're becoming and being that and living that in the now through the heart, through the felt experience. I'd love for you to tap more into, I suppose, that space from the heart and this 5D frequency and what we are shifting through in this rapid phase of evolution, of consciousness rising, and integrating those human parts of self and loving that through this space.
Yeah. Yes. Please. I love to talk about the heart space. And like, Sai knows so funny. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's so early for y'all.
Yeah, it's early. Need a good hug. But yeah, the heart.
So when the message and everything happened with Seth and the Reiki journey began, 2 weeks later, I then received the next message of the heart space. Now, mind you, I was already in an entrepreneurial mindset. So every idea I was like, it's a business. So like immediately got the domain and all these different things. But what I didn't realize at that moment was the significance of the heart space, and understanding that it's not just the name of how I'm going to serve in the world, but it's a lifestyle, it's a way of being, and it's the golden key to us accessing heaven on earth. Because when we look at, for those who, there's a many hats I wear. I'm a Reiki master teacher, as I think we mentioned. So when we look deeper at the chakras, one of the teachings we start to go in the trainings is looking at how the lower and the top chakras are working in pairs, and the root and the crown work together. The sacral and the third eye, I mean, they all work together, but they're partners. And then the solar plexus and the throat and the heart is on its own. So when we start to really look at, wow, this is the center point. This is the bridge, the place where the lower and the upper meet, where the heavenly frequencies and the earthly frequencies meet. And we begin to open this space. When we look at it scientifically, we're all exuding energy. The electromagnetic field, the power that is exuding from this center is significantly more powerful than anywhere else in the electromagnetic field. And there's data out there, there's studies, there's numbers, like there's so much science backing this. If someone wants to look at that deeper, you can look at Heart Math Institute, you can look at Joe Dispenza's data. Like there's plethora out there. So as we start to see, wow, when I'm allowing myself to breathe and be in my heart, there's a coherence happening in my body. It opens a space to be able to see things different, to hear the guidance, and to be able to access our heart frequency that is bridging heaven on earth. And we start to realize, oh my goodness, heaven's not a place, it's a frequency, which is what we're tapping into, of seeing, wow, there's so much more than what meets just the 3D. There's these higher spaces, and we can continue to elevate in our frequency. When we look at, Dr. David Hawkins' work of the emotional scale of consciousness, we can start to see, wow, the higher frequencies that allow us to feel and be in these expanded spaces of love and joy and grace and enlightenment. None of us are really hanging there for too long till you're out. But, the heart must be open and expanded to be able to stay in those spaces. And as a collective, that's where we're heading, where we're remembering, oh my gosh, we don't have to live contracted in fear and shame and guilt. This is all very grounding, contracted, keeping us here, of thinking this life is really hard, or oh, this is such a terrible thing, I'm being punished, or it's a shame to be who I am. Whereas we're elevating and living from the heart, remembering, oh, there's love and there's grace. And I can forgive others because we're all just doing the best we can, and we can let the baggage go. And we can take up more space and expand, which is, the heart space is the golden key to that.
Mm. Ugh.
Of course, the golden key.
Yeah.
Why are we here? I love how you said that it's connected to the throat as well, and that just clicked for me. I was like, of course, the creative expression is why we're here. That's why we were given consciousness, is to be able to bring those together, but that comes from the heart, and that comes from our desire. I'm really curious on your thoughts on depression and anxiety, and I guess how society is kind of stuck in that type of energy, because I feel, for me, it feels like it's more related to that heart space.
Yeah. Well, I love there's like the old sayings that have been around for so long. And it's like, why are they around? Because they're true. So we can look at the, very popular phrase, may be new for some humans, 444 in my time, PS. When we look at, naturally, if we're in a state of depression, we're stuck in the past. If we're feeling anxious, we're stuck in the future. And as a society, we've been trained to not be present. It's either we haven't allowed ourselves to process emotions and dive into those harder, challenging emotions. They're not bad, they're not negative, they're challenging. It's challenging to sit and feel grief. It's really freaking hard to let yourself go into sacred rage for the things that were done as a little one that no innocent child should have to go through. It's hard to go into those spaces. But if we don't allow ourselves to, parts of ourselves are still living in the past, and those emotions are suppressed. So it's like baggage. It's like we're carrying these suitcases that are literally weighing us down. And we're stuck reminiscing, whether consciously or subconsciously. Oftentimes it's very deep subconscious that's running 80% of our day-to-day lives. We don't even realize we're still thinking about that thing that happened when we were 9 years old until we start to do the work and pull it out. So then when we're looking at depression, it's like we're in a society where we're not told to feel our feelings. Just keep going and don't process the emotions that you've been carrying and look at the subconscious mind. And then you have the anxiety of you have to reach these goals, you have to become this. I mean, as kids, we ask them in elementary school, what are you going to be when you grow up? How do they know what they're going to be when they grow up? I change every week, And so we've been conditioned, especially our generation, we've been conditioned to live in the future. We've been conditioned to think, and I'm here for think long-term planning and saving and this and that, playing the earthly realm. I'm not saying that, but we've really been conditioning ourselves to live so far in the future, and that creates a lot of anxiety because people are trying to this false sense of safety. People want to feel safe and they want to know what's going to happen. So we plan it and we try to amazing. We plan it and we want to try to know so we can feel that sense, that security. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I could walk outside right now, glory to God, it won't happen, but I could walk outside and get hit by a bus. I didn't plan that, And so we live in this world where people are trying to do everything other than be present. And it's in the presence that we can actually enjoy and to be able to feel the grace and become and to experience. So that's a lot of what I witness and kind of support people to shed light on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And it reminded me of like when I was trying to go through my healing journey, I started with writing a book. And I noticed every time I tried to write the book, because of some of the traumatic events that had happened, there was gaps in my memory. So it was like, oh, where do I start? How do I start this? And I noticed that every time I went to try and go back, the story changed. Like sometimes memories would re-emerge, and sometimes it'd be like, actually, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And you can then see some of the blessings in those lessons. But I guess a lot of people, like when we start to do that, we can get stuck in that suffering and silence and that anxiety of like, well, what happens if I change? What happens if I actually do transform and, move away? Like, are my family, are my friends going to still like me if I'm a completely different person? And, this is something that is real. And on a lot of our conscious minds is, how will I be accepted if I am no longer who I was? And that's really powerful. But also, um, the education system was introduced by Rockefeller in the 50s to create more workers that didn't need to think. It's like, how do we, you know, get past this mindset that is still being taught today? So for those parents out there that have their kids in mainstream schools, start to have the conversations and challenge them to challenge the system, because what we're getting taught is still the same,
Mm.
and it's only there to keep us confined in that depression, in that past, and that those memories of like, this is how we create workers. And if you look at education as we're creating workers, well, that is stuck in the past, isn't it? Because we're no longer there. We're in the future where everything is possible and anything is possible. And that's that mindset switch. And for both of us as teachers, this has been really challenging to go, oh, how do we teach outside of what we've been taught? Because, we then go to learn how to be a teacher, we take more study on board. How do we shift that mindset, which is still valuable lessons and valuable information, but to shift that into a new way of challenging thinking over, here is the content.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think that's the beauty about these platforms and us connecting with people like yourself, Kelly. It's like everyone has that teacher in them because they're skilled, they're experienced, they're intuitive in their genius zones. And it's like, how do we bring these amazing everyday leaders in to share their wisdom, to share what is alive for them, to share their truth, to share their expertise? And it's like this fell into our laps very easily because it's in our alignment of creating those paradigm shifting ways of teaching and learning and being by having amazing people share, like you right now in story, share your wisdom. And that's this ripple effect. You spoke about impact earlier. And these, I see, like when I did this beautiful visualization a couple of years ago thinking about the impact, I saw these golden threads weaving down and all of these light bulbs turning on in the world, and it just like made me cry. And it was like this piece of like, this is the impact that you get to make. And there was like hundreds and thousands and hundreds, like it was like, no, I don't. I was like, can I make that much of an impact? And it was like these beautiful golden threads, even, before I went into another beautiful container that anchored in that wisdom and deepening my understanding of energy, the feminine, the body, the elements, and these golden pieces that we get to weave. This was really, really powerful. And it's like those synchronicities that you were saying along the way, that when it's the right time, the right people will come. And it's like, okay, I trust.
Yeah, it's so good. And the golden thread just lights up my soul. Soul sister. Yeah, it's been really cool to see the, in this last like week and a half through the eclipse, or it's to see it deeper. There's been little things that like, cool, I've seen visions of so many bigger things. And it's like pieces of like, wow, okay, like cool, I'm here for it. I have no idea how this is going to come together. And there was seasons of me trying to make things happen or me rushing ahead and this and that. And then finally starting to say, okay, I'm just going to focus on what's here in front of me and just follow the mission, tell me what to do and do the things. And then to see over the last few months, little things of ideas of, certain sectors of people that I know I'm here to serve. And like I tried a couple of times to reach out and do these different things and nothing ever took. And I was like, maybe I'm crazy. But like when I listen into it, I'm like, no, I know I'm here to work, with this set of people. And then, boom, out of nowhere, one of my students ended up their hairstylist. So like all of a sudden I was just like, oh, and it just started and it unfolded. And I said, I've been holding that in my heart of knowing since 2019. And some of like the bigger projects, I mean, I could make it up a why. Like God makes us so good, like the perfect timing of all the people and some things that I've held in my heart for, since 2012 to 2011 are starting to come to be right now, and it's like, and it's being done with such ease. And all that it takes is just holding the vision. Hold the vision, be still and know. And just follow the obedience. That's it. Just take the steps and us trust. So it just brings me back to, and I do this a lot with those I work with, like doing visionary work and business development, all those things where it's, listen, we have to trust the process of becoming. There's no way what I'm getting, I have the privilege and honor to be creating right now and working in teams doing right now. There's no way any other version than who I am today would be able to actually navigate it because of all of the experiences, the trials, the tribulations, the little wins, the connections, this and that. I needed all of that to be exactly here, which is happening for all of us here as well. And it just keeps growing and snowballing where it's like, we can relax. Like we can see it. Cool. You've gotten clarity. You see the vision. Great. It already happened. We're just getting to remember how it happens now. Relax. We get to just enjoy the show. It already happened.
I love that. It's that eternal now, the eternal now. And I love that little way that you just said that. It's already happened. And it's like, yes. Like, and the remembrance pieces, I think the way you framed it was just another really cool way of just like, yeah, I feel that. It feels right. And that eternal now, that everything is now. Even like those past lives, even the little versions of ourselves, even the cosmic bigness of who we are, whether we're God, goddesses, creator beings, angels, dragons, cosmic, beings across the world, like it's all now. And like how big we are is unfathomable, but there's a feeling in the depth that there is that knowingness that you were saying, and all of it is now, and we get to tap into those remembrances through the heart, through the body, and then use those pieces as tools to still navigate this human body and still create beautiful, just like this, I just see like dancing movement, like this tapestry, like we get to the ebb and flow of what is creation, and all of it is welcome in the deep polarities of it all, in the light and the shadow. And I can say that with a smile on my face, even though I know there's still like hard things for me to deal with now. But it's just been such a synchronous conversation. Even, the threads that you've been sharing, we spoke about these threads in the speaker call earlier, and you just jumped on the end, but it was like this beautiful synchronicity and reflection for myself, and I suppose for Flea as well, that it's like, okay, we'll notice the resistance, let's stay present, let's just take one step at a time, let's honor our bodies for rest, let's still tap into the golden threads and the bigness of the mission, and breathe through it all, and just keep trusting and that faith, so yeah, I've loved everything that you've shared there. And so people that are feeling their missions come online, but they're still noticing the resistances, even through like depression, anxiety that Flea mentioned, or maybe family members that still maybe aren't the people that are meant to be their people. What advice would you give them if they're noticing their purpose, they're seeking that there is more? Like, what are some beautiful, I suppose, strategies or things that you would suggest for anyone that's listening to really tap into, to anchor in or go deeper or go gently? What's something that comes to mind?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of my superpowers that's available for all of us is prayer. You know, like ask and it is given. And that doesn't mean ask for $1,000,000 and $1,000,000 comes. We get what we need. So like just remember, y'all. You know, that's like I like to call like new cage traps. Like I'm big on teaching like, cool, some things are so close to truth, but it's not truth. Like we're here to connect with God, and God's also discipline and obedience and humility and all these things, like so there's a place, but prayer. Pray for the vision. Pray for, like I in the for me and for what I've witnessed in people I work with in their lives. Like that reminder, I always ask, like, so what's your prayer life like? And sometimes I still say these prayers. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm talking like straight from the heart. We're all God's children. But when God hears his child speaking from the heart, and in that space of like, I am feeling weak and I'm in the keeping it real. They already know. They see it, they feel it, they know it. They made you by design. They knew that this moment was going to be happening. It's an opportunity to say, I surrender. Something bigger than me. And that's what, again, so often when I can hear people within our world say, like, I surrender, and what it means is they just stop doing things and they just go into and fly off into the seas of I'm surrendered. Where I'm curious what would happen for people if we start to look at it as a different way of saying, I'm surrendered, that there's something so much bigger than me that's available to guide me in my life, and allow myself to surrender to the guidance and the direction that's being provided to me, and take those actions and those steps. So one of the biggest superpowers is prayer. I mean, in the recent, where it's just like when I was going through the head cold and different things, it's been a while since I got to this point, but not because they're saying good, bad, right, wrongs, just was, where I got to my knees, and it was so heartfelt, and God, like, I am here. If my will has been taking any direction of this more than your will, please correct it now. And I am here to be yours. I'm here to serve you. May your will fill my vessel. May me have the courage to hear it. May I have the strength to follow it. And it allows us to continue to say, you take the wheel. And that can allow the mission to begin to come there. And journal it. Write down the mission. Reach out to people. If you're listening to this and you're like, reach out to me. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'll talk to you. We're out here. You're not alone. Family might not understand. I have a deep compassion for this. We'd be here for another half hour if I tell that whole story. But just know, if you're out there and you're like, wow, my family doesn't get it. I went deep in it. I was disowned for a little bit because I stayed so true to my truth, and they weren't about it. Now my dad's had a spiritual awakening. We're all healed. Everyone in the family, strange cousins, everything. Everyone's here. Generation curses have broken. Everyone's sober. Like, you never know what will happen. But our job is to stay in the truth of the path of God. So reach out to other communities. We're out here. We're ready for you. Like, arms are wide open. There's always room in the circle. Reach out. And those are, some of the just tangibles. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd just love to offer as well for those people at home, like that prayer can be as simple as, like, I remember I was teaching going, there has to be a different way. And it was so in my heart. It's like, I just wish I could create my own school so I could teach this way. And that was a heartfelt, like, long before Marie put the call out. It was like every time I'd walk into the classroom, it's like, I love being with the kids. The kids love being around me, but what I have to teach wasn't right. And it was like, there has to be a different way. And I was sort of at my wit's end, and I kept asking and kept calling. It's like, there has to be another way, please. And it was the message. If I was to open the schools, who would join me? And I was like, yeah. And at that time it was a dance school. I was like, yeah, I don't care. I'll teach dance as long as there's another way. And it was that little, okay, that message came in right as your mentor that walked into your workplace. And it was like, okay, this is what we have to do. And it was that snap decision. And, with that, I did some crazy things that a lot of people were like, oh, you're not working anymore. You gave up your job, and, you've done things that they didn't expect me to do. And it's like, I had to follow what I knew to be right, because I know there is another way, and it doesn't exist yet. And that's what's scary. This school doesn't exist. The school that is in my mind, it is in my mind, but I know within my heart that that mission and what we are creating with all of you beautiful teachers and mentors and coaches and lovely people that have mastery at their core, that is the other way. And
Mm,
it's building and it's growing. We're just trusting that it's unfolding and the people are coming in that want to be those teachers and want to have the spaces for their kids and for their families. And it was a hope. That's what that prayer is. It's a hope. And the
mm,
faith is our feminine side. It's our feminine energy that is just pushing and driving us to be what it is we know our heart wants.
Yeah. Oh, how beautiful that remembering of like what's in our heart has been placed there by God because that's what we're here to do to serve. And so since we're made by design, like exactly who we are, like we don't have to try so much to be something, just be 100% us because we were made by design. So it's exact who we are is exactly who we need to be to fulfill whatever that that mission that was placed in our heart is to see it through to execution. It's like, oh my gosh, it can be so simple. Yeah.
The
yeah,
guardian. The
yeah,
guardian is a more plump, rounder person, which is that nurturing, mothering
Hmm.
teacher that most people enjoy. And I'm like, okay, I've had to embrace the fact that I've been trying so hard to be supermodel thin or something like that. And it's like, actually, no, that's not comforting. That's not enjoyable. I was made
Me
this way
too.
for this reason because it's lovable.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. And there's you anchor in that love in the body, in the vessel, and I love that you just dropped in a little bit of epigenetics in there too. And all of these tools are at our fingertips now because like you said, like with the Reiki before, it was like not many people knew, and now it's like there's rooms full of people that know. And it's like these tools, whether it's human design, epigenetics, coming back to through meditation, there's so many ways and modalities that people can connect with that feel good in their body. But I love that piece of prayer. I just felt that in my heart space, and I just felt a little bit emotional as well, just remembering like how simple it is, but how powerful it is. And I said to Flea yesterday on the phone as I was venting about something, I'm like, I've been praying every day just to bring the people and to bring the energy and just trusting, and even just like dropping to my knees yesterday and just allowing myself to cry and to
Mhm.
be felt uh, by God, by nature, um, and by other amazing women that could hold me in that. And it was like, okay, I can now take the next step and get up again and do the next thing and take a big deep breath and know that it's all going to unfold as it's meant to unfold. So I've loved this beautiful conversation, Kelly. And so if people have been listening in, they can tune into you at the
Kathy,
summit as well. What was that, Flea?
beautiful Kathy has been watching and just commented, yes, holding the vision and the trust and faith is so important. 100% agree.
Yes, Kathy.
Yeah, yeah. And part of that vision is to share more of this wisdom in our summit. Kelly is on, and I don't have the details in front of me, but there are so many amazing speakers, and Kelly will be sharing more about this in the summit that you can tune into. And I suppose, Kelly, how can people connect with you if they've like listened in? They're like, oh, I love this woman. How can they
Yeah.
tune in and find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the best ways is on Instagram. You can join me at I am Kelly Keefe, and we can just DM me and just let me know that you found me here and know what resonated. And I love humans. We can talk. We can do the things. So if you just want to find me on Instagram, that's the best way. And through there you can find websites and this and that. But Path of Least Resistance, just come say hello.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And Kelly is presenting on day 2 of our summit, Seeking Sovereign Souls. So for us here in Australia, it will be in our evening, 10 till 11 p.m., Living in Alignment, the Pillars to Thriving in the Aquarian Age. And I feel like this has been a beautiful foundation to lean into that. So I feel like it's nice and early for you at time. which is beautiful. And Kelly's also on another amazing panel. I think on the first day, I've just got the program up here about
Human design and architecting our
yeah, designing a life, they're creating their own destiny, and yeah, that ability to just notice the tools that we've been talking about today and being able to come back to the heart space and come back into your purpose. So, architects of destiny, designing your life through human design, success templates, and personal empowerment. And these templates, these frequencies, these codes, we all have them within us. And a lot of them are in this beautiful heart space here, unlocking them when we are ready to receive them and coming at the time that it's required. So I'm so glad that you're in these beautiful panels and part of this amazing, amazing summit, and just feeling blessed to know you and feel the tribe just deepening. So thank you so much for your time, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you for creating the space for us all to flow into and the weaving and the unfoldings that are going to happen. I'm so excited to get to come and pour my heart into the summit and into these panels and into my talk. And yeah, just keep them, together we thrive. So I'm really grateful. And thank y'all for being up so early in the morning and having a deep dive with me. Thank you for going scuba diving with me so early in the morning.
Oh, you love it. We love it.
Best way to start the day.
That's it. Thanks, Kelly. And we'll see you guys all next time at 10 o'clock for us. We'll see another beautiful guest soon. Bye, guys.
Ciao.